So to a lot of guys, this first tip is going to seem perversely counterintuitive. I mean, if you want other people to respect you, you need to change them, right? Actually, no. Now really, if you truly want to start commanding respect, you have to first understand your own true value and learn to respect yourself. And on the surface, this may sound easy, but the reality is most modern men are damaged goods. We're working with a lot of unconscious beliefs that were handed to us as kids. You're not good enough. You're not as talented as your brother. Your sister had better grades, was better behaved than you at your age. Why can't you be like the neighbor kid? Now the issue here, according to cognitive behavioral psychologists, is that these deep-held internal beliefs shape our everyday interactions. If you believe yourself to be unworthy of attention, unworthy of respect, well, these beliefs are going to subtly manifest themselves in your posture, in your speech, in your general demeanor. Now, the good news here is that our self-beliefs are not set in stone. To address low self-respect and to level it up, one of the first things you want to do is a self-audit. Simply lay out your strengths, the things you're good at. All of us have certain skills, certain abilities that set us apart from others. And right with that, you want to start bringing in daily positive affirmations. Now, I'm not going to go woo-woo on you and say you got to have a daily mantra, although I think that's a good thing. But I will say, don't be afraid to hang up your achievements. We're talking about awards, certificates, banners, reminders of who you are and where you come from. This could be a graduation certificate from university or trade school. It could be a picture of your grandfather, great-grandfather that served in WW2. I had a buddy of mine in flight school whose grandfather received the Navy Cross as a pilot during World War II when he took out an enemy destroyer. Seriously, it was a single bomb right down a smokestack, blew the thing in half. Now, obviously, he didn't accomplish it, but he drew a lot of self-respect from his family, from his genes, from his history, knowing that his makeup, his values were those of a hero. And gents, if you take nothing else from this video, I want you to take this. You have value, and you don't have to prove that to anybody. The very fact that you exist, if you think about it genetically, you are a miracle. And I don't know why you're here, and I don't know what your greater purpose is, but I do know you've made it this far despite all the challenges you've faced, and for that, give yourself the respect that you're due. Now here at RMRS, we are a style channel, and that's why the saying, clothes maketh the man, rings true. Because when you wear the right clothing, it not only affects others, but it also affects you. I mean, think about it. When you played sports, you were wearing your uniform out on the field. How did you feel? You felt prepared. You felt in the zone. If you had gone out on that field wearing the uniform for a different sport, yeah, you would have felt out of place. And studies from the field of enclothed cognition show that you wouldn't have performed as well. So what are some easy, practical ways to command respect with your clothing? Well, first up, look at this jacket over here from Collars & Co. What I love about their Maverick Blazer is that this is a performance jacket that you can wear anywhere. For me personally, I've got a couple of these jackets and I absolutely love them. When I'm traveling, when I'm out there on the go, I can pack these jackets in my suitcase, I can pack them in my carry-on. They're made from a wrinkle-resistant material and they look good. The fit is spot on. They nailed it with the style and with the classic design. Now, gents, if I wasn't clear, Collars & Co. is the sponsor of today's video. Guys, I've worked with this company for years because I love what they do. This company's goal is to help men look great while feeling good. Their first garment, which got them on Shark Tank and got a $1 million investment from Mark Cuban, was the dress shirt polo. And to this day, if you're looking for your first garment from Collars & Co., I do recommend grabbing one of their dress shirt polos in a solid color, maybe one that you've already got in your wardrobe, because what you're going to find is this garment is so versatile. This garment can be dressed up, it can be dressed down, and what sets these polos apart is that placket and that dress shirt collar built onto a polo chassis using a 4-way stretch breathable fabric. And gents, when you go over to their website, be careful because you are going to fall in love with their knitwear. Right here with the buttons, you can see this is their Nottingham. And if you go back and watch some of my other videos, you're going to see I'm wearing the buttonless polo, their Bellagio. But now that things are warming up, check out their Maranello polos. These are made from cotton and silk. They've got a classic design and they're absolutely beautiful. But if you want the butt look, check out their Riviera polos. And gents, if you already love Collars & Co., get over to the website, look at all the new arrivals they've just received. And with that being said, gents, to make sure you always get the best deal on the web, you guys know I got you covered down in the description of today's video. I'm linking over to Collars & Co. with the best deal you're going to find out there. And by the way, guys, in case you didn't pick up on it, again, jackets, collared shirts, these are going to be the garments that command respect whenever a man wears them. Now, the reason being is that society has conditioned us to imagine a successful man, wearing a collar, wearing a blazer jacket, dressing in the manner of a professional. And I know so many guys out there are like, hey, I dress super casual. I'm not going to start wearing a suit. I'm not saying that, but I am saying, can you step up your game 1 or 2 levels? So instead of wearing a t-shirt and jeans, can you wear a button down in jeans? When you get dressed up, instead of just going with a dress shirt and slacks, throw on a blazer jacket, throw on a sports jacket. The great thing about a structured jacket, it builds up the shoulders, it slims up the silhouette, it makes you look taller, it makes you look like the man in charge. Now for the next tip, let's look at these images. Which of these guys looks like he deserves more respect. Notice how you were able to make that decision within a millisecond? Gents, the reality is people make quick judgments based off of what they see. And one of the first things they notice about a person is their silhouette, the way they carry themselves, their body language, their posture. So when it comes to body language, tons of research out there shows that over 50% of our communication is nonverbal and relayed through the way that we're standing, the way that our posture is, the position of our hands, and direction of our eyes. Now, the best way to learn how to command respect with your body language and posture is to practice it. So first up, when you're around others, stand tall. Roll the shoulders back. It's okay to put that chest out a bit. This is a natural, confident stance, and it's also going to force your head up and give you the appearance of a healthy individual. Next up, when you're meeting people for the first time, give them a handshake. Now, you don't have to overcomplicate this. You don't have to crush somebody's hand. And if you've got smaller hands like me, I find the best tactic is to make sure that your thinner space meets their thinner space. All right, that sounded a bit weird, but that's the fleshy part between your thumb and index finger. When those areas come together, even if the guy's got a bigger mitt than yours, you're most likely to be able to get a decent grip and hold that grip for anywhere from 1 to 2.5 seconds. And this works for men and women. And again, make sure you're not crushing people's hands. And of course, it's post-COVID, so if you're doing the fist bump, that's cool too. Now, what about eye contact? So if you're talking to one person, 50 to 70% of the time, you want to be making eye contact with them. If it's a group of people, like let's say 3, the percentage is actually going to go up. You're going to be making eye contact about 90% of the time, but you're going to move from person to person. And you want to split it evenly unless you're speaking to one person more than the others, in which case you give them a little bit more attention. And again, for some guys out of practice, this can get weird. This can make them nervous. So in that case, just look at one eye, or you can look away, but show that you're paying attention by nodding. And for me, I have a habit of putting my fist right on my chin and looking down. The key is you want to just show you're interacting in the conversation and paying attention. Next up, let's talk about human heuristics. This is the technique of mental shortcuts that all human beings use. I mean, think about it. With our senses, we are exposed to an overload of sensory information, and our brains, in order to make sense of this without spending too much energy, has evolved and through our lives has picked up techniques to be able to quickly judge others. I know, we're not supposed to do it, but the reality is human beings do judge a book by its cover, and to be honest, it's an evolutionary skill that has served us incredibly well. Now, to make this technique work, we have visions, we have ideas in our head of what successful people look like, of what people of authority look like, of what a dangerous person looks like. Now, of course, this information can be wrong, but the reality is, for the most part, it's good enough, and we all use it. The next step to commanding respect is to slow down. When you look at a guy, and he's hurried, he's jittery, he's nervous, moving all over the place. For most people, this doesn't instill a feeling of calm or that this person is a leader. No, the guy people look to is calm, collected. He doesn't seem to immediately react to the chaos that's going around him. Yeah, he's paying attention. He's not blind, he's not deaf, but he realizes it's the clear head, it's the calm mind that figures out what to do next. So how to level up here? First, recognize if you are the type of person that's reacting and speaking quickly whenever chaos is thrown your way. You've probably heard the saying, just breathe, slow down. Well, do that. Give yourself a couple extra seconds before you speak. Think about what you're going to say. And if you're giving a presentation, if you're talking to others, don't be afraid to pause between the points that you are looking to make. Now, the next tip, and this one's going to require a bit of practice. I would recommend that maybe you record yourself or you attend a Toastmasters, but learn to properly enunciate what you are saying. And I know I'm not always the best example. Here I am speaking pretty quick. My words are flowing. I do this for YouTube. But whenever I'm talking to somebody in person, one of the things, especially if they've watched my videos, they're like, Antonio, you speak a lot slower and more clearly whenever we are talking one-on-one. And that's true. Because what's going on in my mind is I'm really wanting to make sure that I am speaking clearly and getting my points across. For the algorithm, though, that doesn't work super well, so that's why we speak a little bit faster here on YouTube. And this next tactic may seem a little bit counterintuitive, but don't beat around the bush. Get right to the point whenever you're speaking. And when you're recording yourself, another thing you're going to be able to spot and start to eliminate are crutch words, filler words. The likes, and you know. Because whenever your language is full of those, let's just face it, nobody really likes to listen to that kind of person, and you lose a lot of credibility. Now, right with speaking is the art of actively listening. The reality is whenever we are talking with somebody and they're speaking, we're just waiting for our chance to speak. We're not actually listening to them. We're formulating the quick and clever thing that we want to spout. My advice to you here, once you slow down, is to also slow down whenever you're engaging and you're listening and really try to understand, especially if you're having a contentious disagreement, argument here. The thing is, it's very difficult to change somebody else's mind. Instead, what you want to do is seek to understand them. And when you do that, you are listening and trying to put together their view of the world. And one of the best things to do after you're listening to them for a while is to maybe repeat back to them what you understand that they're saying. And on top of that, ask clarifying questions. Ask them to go into more detail. Most people aren't used to somebody actually really listening to them. Most people love this because if they're talking a lot, it's probably about something they're passionate about. You're asking them to go deeper and you're asking them to explain exactly why they're saying what they're saying. And the bonus with all this is it helps you avoid interrupting people. It's a bad habit that a lot of us have. Yeah, we just jump right in there. And yeah, once you start to look for it, you realize, oh man, am I doing this? And nobody likes being interrupted. Now, this next technique to commanding respect is one of the most powerful ones out there, but so many guys mess it up, and that is setting boundaries. Now, boundaries only real if you enforce it. And that's the hard part, is that for people that we really care about, people that we want to impress, we sometimes bend those boundaries, and therefore it's not a boundary. Now, one of the reasons most men aren't clear on their boundaries is that they personally don't even know what boundaries they should be setting. I think some good questions to ask yourself is, how do you allow people to speak with you? What do you tolerate when it comes to language, when it comes to people speaking to you in a manner that you view as disrespectful? How do you tolerate people that are late? And related to that, what about with meetings? What about with working outside of your normal work hours? Now, obviously the boundaries I'm talking about are both personal and business, and you may find in one or maybe even in both realms that you are just compromising way too much. So how to change this? How to enforce boundaries? Well, the first thing is that you want to do a self-audit. You want to say, where am I breaking this boundary myself? Am I allowing that voice in my head to say things to me that I wouldn't let other people say? Because if it is, you probably need to tell it to shut up and stop listening to it. Are you expecting others to value your time, not be late, but you're not respecting theirs? Again, it comes back to you adjusting yourself first and then communicating to others that these are your standards. Seriously, before you cut people off, remember they're not mind readers. Be really clear, communicate clearly. As long as you're not going over the top, most people are going to be understanding. They're probably actually even going to appreciate it. Now, the hard part here is to enforce. I will tell you that if you enforce it first with yourself, it becomes a lot easier to enforce your boundaries with others. And that's where you simply remove yourself from the situation. If they're consistently late when you want to meet up, yeah, you went ahead and ordered the food, you ordered the coffee, and you didn't stay past the time that you said you couldn't. Because gents, as you know, actions speak louder than words. And when people see that you enforce boundaries, that you have those boundaries, they're going to start to respect them. Now, a lot of you guys watching this are introverts. You don't like to speak, you don't like to talk, you keep to yourself. And you are in maybe a group at work in which you are the quiet one. So how do you get respect there? Well, in this case, you are going to have to speak up. But if you're going to do it, there are some time-tested tricks and tips you can leverage. And the first one is to actually bring some talking points, not to try to wing it. Actually have it laid out what you want to say and focus in on the important things first. I know in my company, I try to keep team meetings really short. The way I look at it, I've got a dozen people in a meeting and I don't want to waste their time because I'm paying for it. What I ask is that people bring points that they want to cover. They send it to me before they send it to the entire group, and they have their points laid out. It's a small thing, but showing up prepared and making sure whoever is running the meeting knows that you have something to say. It's one of the most effective ways to speak up in a group and to start commanding respect from those that are around you. Now, this next point I think is going to be really useful for those of you guys just starting off, or maybe you've moved into a new industry, you're trying something new. How can you command respect when you are the new guy? Well, the tactic that I've seen work again and again is to quickly develop a narrow expertise that is useful to the group, to your family, to the people you're looking to earn the respect from. If you understand plumbing, and again, you've maybe taken one side course on it, you've replaced one toilet, guess what? In your family, you are going to be the go-to person because the reality is most people don't even know what to do when it comes to replacing a toilet. And even though you've only done it once, in the land of the blind, the one-eyed man is king. So you are going to be that person that comes in and provides value. With your company, everyone's talking about AI. Well, guess what? You love this stuff. You've been playing with it on the weekends. You start giving quick tutorials on how people can level up their game by using something, just simply logging into ChatGPT and using it as a search engine, asking questions, giving them a few good prompts to start with. All of a sudden, across the company, you become known as the guy that can help anyone get started with this new technology that most people don't have time to focus in on, and your level of respect, you being sought out as an expert, keeps going up and up. Now this next one, I love it because it seems counterintuitive, but whenever you get the praise for something, you have done something right, you are being recognized. What do you do with that praise? You need to give it away. You need to hand it out. You need to recognize everybody that played a role in helping you achieve the success. Because here's the deal, when you pass out this praise, it's not like it's diminished. It actually just multiplies. And for those other people, they are amazed that you are taking this time when you should be in the limelight to bring them in and to point out, yeah, I did all this work and we made this happen, but I have to thank Mike. He was there. He did this repair in the spreadsheet that I didn't even notice a year ago. He taught me that skill. Oh yeah, I was able to get into my dream school. I scored high on the GMAT, but I've got to thank my aunt who made time for me to be able to study. She was over there watching my son, changing diapers, as I was over there burning the midnight oil, studying to get ready for that exam, which I crushed, and I couldn't have done it without her. And you know what? You recognize people in a toast. We have so many meals, you have so many great opportunities, and maybe which you're around other people, be that man that stands up, clinks the glass. You don't know what you're doing, but you know what? You want to recognize your mother. You want to recognize your sister. You want to recognize your dad for what he has done. And guess what? When you take the time to lift up others, you are viewed as someone that has that strength, has that ability. Your level of respect shoots up as a man who looks after others, who stands up for what he knows to be right. All right, Jen, so what did I miss? What would you add to this video? Let me know in the comments below, and keep watching here at Real Men, Real Style. You guys know I want you to become the man you know yourself to be. Hopefully you enjoyed this video. If you did, maybe share it with a guy that could use it. And yeah, keep passing this stuff around. Go check out this video right here. Take care, guys. I will see you in the next one.